What's up, YouTube fam? It's Dark Angel's Journey. I'm Shakira. So it's Saturday. I am sleepy. Sleepy. I could take a nap. Just watched ICT's Madus. Um, Something I'm definitely gonna have to check out later. But for now, I want to run through my model and start documenting where price likes to retrace back into and the flow, because I'm finding that sometimes my entries are either too low, um, and I could, pull more out of the markets. Does this look, just because I'm, whatever, as long as you can see, I'm not the important part of this video anyway. It's the charts. So let's get tiny. We're just gonna spend, I don't know how long, as long as it takes to go through these charts, look for my model. I'm gonna have my actually let me do that now. I'm gonna have my trading journal up on my other screen so I can start documenting and typing and screenshotting all of these things. We not half-assing none of this. Best believe that. Best believe that. And I'm gonna have to go back into my journal and fix a lot of my stuff. But first, something that I have been tracking. Let me switch screens really quickly here. My kitty is napping. He's so cute. I want to switch screens for a hot second. Something else that I'm tracking. And I'm gonna move the screen to another window. So if you see me look to the left. Oh, where are we? Right, okay. So trade method. So here I'm tracking my win rate. So since the 22nd, my trade method worked, it didn't work. I took a bunch of stupid trades, total wins versus the total trades I've made and win rate. So we're seeing a 32% win rate because I've taken a lot of stupid trades. So we're going to go through a lot of drama right now. And it's not really drama, it's just I'm going to spend a lot of time to figure out why I'm taking so many stupid trades and be a lot more specific. Because when I take these stupid trades, I get really emotional. It really irritates me that I do it. So these are a part of some of the things that I have to overcome. And I have a list here that I made today. So, full disclosure. So my current hazards, and this is um so ICT, he did a space this morning. He was talking about the hazards of trading and how to, how to start overcoming them. And it's been the sort of thing that I've already been working on, right, for quite a while. And so I was going to share my hazards, so like fear of taking the trade. So early on, I had a really hard time entering. Like I would get really scared and I didn't want to press the button. So I worked really hard to get to that place where I'm comfortable now pressing the button and getting in the trades and stuff. And then there's, of course, my other one, which is like, what if I'm wrong, right? And that one I'm working through, because if I have the right bias and I'm following my method, then that one should go away pretty quickly. And then you've heard me say this a number of times, but closing the trade too soon is another one that I have to work through and get comfortable with. And then missing details for each trade. And that one is more a matter of just time and practice, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this practice today specifically around my model. Because, based on the details that I'm missing better entries that would make me feel comfortable holding the trade for longer. Um, yeah. And holding each trade to take profit. So that goes with closing the trade too soon. Same one. And then being able to exit the trade when it's no longer viable, meaning that it's made a switch maybe in the market structure, things like that. So just gonna work through most of that drama. All right, so let me go back over here. So I'm using this to track all of that, and you'll probably notice that my demo trading account, I keep sometimes resetting it. Mainly because last week I found I was focusing way too hard on the dollar value. So I reset it because it's a demo. I don't want to feel like I should be focusing only on that. So I figured I'd start with the trade. Technically, this is one trade. I just didn't trust my stop loss and closed it when it was coming up. And I re-entered when I realized that it was still viable. So I get the feeling that this is just a normal thing that happens, but I want to work through why I didn't need to take this loss and instead of just taking the full pull. Though I'm actually happier with this one because my entry was better on the second option and versus the first. Another reason why I'm going to be working through this whole process now. Anyway, so um let's see. So we're working with NQ, so I'm going to go ahead and just switch this out. And I'm just going to look for my style of entry pretty much everywhere. Just everywhere. I guess I can share my my AM entry. I think it was an AM entry. Lunchtime run. Yeah, the lunchtime. I was looking for the lunchtime macro. At 8:48, I had a short in, and then I realized I didn't like the setup, so I closed it. And good thing too, because that would have been my arse. But let's look at what I was looking at Friday in the morning first, right? So on the 15 minutes, well, we're on 15 minutes. Okay, good. So I was like, higher, traded through. So I was thinking, if they come back up into this little area here, this fair value gap, they tap a little bit into it, maybe they'll come back down, but I didn't like it. So it's not exactly what I want my normal entries to look like. So I didn't keep that open. Good thing too, because it went in instead. Let's go down the 5 minute. Yeah. Yeah. So it bounced around in here. I was like, nah, it should have was respecting this fair value gap way too much. Let's zoom in. I was respecting this fair value gap way too much. I was like, no, I don't like that. I wanted it to disrespect that, and continue down lower because that would have been a confirmation of the entry, but it didn't do that. It did the opposite. So, exited. Now, my afternoon, my lunchtime trades, though, like this one, higher high, traded through, breaker. Now, this one I want to like analyze specifically because I waited very patiently for this to get broken. And I waited for them to come back up. Now, the one thing I didn't do right, I don't think, is I did this. Took the high, took the low, and then I set my original entry here at the 6062. So that put my short, right? And I was looking, honestly, I was just looking for this to break this, but I was expecting this, right? That's what I was expecting. And these lows to be broken. So we see that instead because there was a small, and these are the details I'm talking about, right? There's the tiniest of gaps right here. It didn't even come to this order block. Did it? No. It came to the gap right here, the smallest of gaps. So if we go down to 4 minutes, let's see, does it get bigger? Right here, we have a nice 4 minute gap right there. 3 minutes, not so as big. Order block. 2 minutes, bigger gap on the 2 minute order block. And in this case, on the 2 minutes, it definitely came back into this base here. And on the 1 minute, yeah, much bigger gap in the 1 minute. And they never made it to this order block. So it's fascinating how, depending on which time frame you're looking at, the entry might have changed. So my entry here, so I had to sit through, hold on, sorry. I had an 80 tick stop. from that entry. So I almost got stopped out, like right there. They came right up to it and then dropped, and then came and retook that. Like it dropped finally, gave me a little something, took out this low, came back up again. I think this is where I closed it because I was like, oh my God, it's coming to get me again. Like I was comfortable here somehow, but not comfortable here when this was coming up so nice and cleanly. Because I was looking at it on the 5 minute. I was like, oh no, I'm wrong. Something to work with. So the entry would have been fine. And, it would have taken a while, about 3 o'clock, to get it. But this is the stuff that I need to work through, right? Like best entry. So 062s felt like a safe place, barely. Halfway through that, but the fair value gap right here, as long as there's some confluence between, and this is the optimal trade entry, um, that I should have been paying closer attention to. Kitty's so cute, nappy. He's on the other side, so I can't really show him. But so I'm looking mainly on the 5 minutes, and let's see. There's a 2 minute. See, I have sleepy. There's an order block here on the 2 minute, and this for a gap to contend with. So if I'd said instead, since there's all of that, I would have gotten tagged in here, and then had nothing to worry about until they took these lows out right there. That would have been a 407 take with my five, this would be 1,017.50. Beautiful round. One trade for the whole day. Just one. Beautiful. But I took 160 instead because I was, coming up on the lunchtime. It was almost 1 o'clock and I was starving. So I took the 160 when we got here and I left. Not that I didn't trust it wasn't going to continue. I just was hungry. I didn't feel like leaving it. And in terms of, checking to see how far it will go, I was just using the breaker for that, for aiming purposes, like so. And I originally said 0.5 or the 1. As you can see, they tapped it there at 3 o'clock. So right there, 449 ticks would have been a beautiful run. But I was thinking I'll be comfortable here. 335 ticks. Nice. What would that have been? 837.50. That's fine. And then this guy, 1120. Risking 200 for that, and can't beat it. All right, so for this one, I missed the fair value gap on the 5 minute as a potential place for them to come back up because there isn't anything else anywhere else. It's just very tiny, tiny fair value gap. It's easy to miss, but miss it I did. So because I missed that, all right, so just gonna go back into our notes now. So today is what day? It's the 9th. 9:23, and I'll swap over to my notes. I'll swap back and forth. I hope I've been showing this whole thing this whole time, otherwise it would be kind of crazy. I'm gonna switch my window again. Back to the trading journal. So 9:23 right here. And as you can see, my setup from yesterday, the halfway point, and I was like the new week opening gap, the entry area, there was that I missed. And it's another reason why it drew up to the 0.69 levels. So those are important. So just my notes from the entry yesterday and potential re-entries if they came back up, which they didn't. So just my lunchtime trade, left to ease, it took just under 180 ticks. So the full run, 5-minute market structure shift, return to premium, targeting the lows, noting the small fair gap near the 0.79 level that price rolled up to. Must note where the FVG is in future, but all in all, a good trade. So yeah, still very happy with it. All right, so for the notes today, this is basically it. I'm just going to take a quick screenshot of where things rolled up, so you're not going to see that. Basically, it's what I was showing before. So what I want to note in here is the fair value gap. So I'm just going to note the SIBI, sorry. And let me put the top there. Let's actually put it on the bottom. All right. And they literally tapped 0.79. So, okay, let's get an image of that, plop it in here. Okay, so first sample from 9/8/23, price returned to fair value gap at the 0.79 spot. No other FEGs below. All right, cool. That's the first example. All right, let's switch. All right. Switching back to the charts, let's go look for some other examples. That one's one. Okay. So I'm looking on the 5-minute because that's my bellwether. Okay, this one's not perfect. There's this wick right here. Because I would have been low. Yeah, so low, lower low, traded through, right? So let's see the return. This is the breaker. This is some BS right here. So on the 5-minute, it's not a pretty version. I probably wouldn't have taken this. This was a Tuesday, 9:30. Yeah. So for this one, it came into the 0.62 with the fair value gap here, and there's a SIBI right here as well. So it came down into the SIBI that worked with the order block, and they tapped the order block and then went at the 0.62. Okay, so let's get a picture of that one as well. Actually, before I do that, and let's see. I don't think this SIBI is in a discount. It also overlaps with this one as well. So just note that in here. Let's get a picture. I'm just going to put that in our notes. So, second sample. Note only FEG was at the 0.62 level with the bullish OB. So price hit that area and rebounded and rebounded. Okay. All right. Cool. That's cool. And just for funsies, let's see. Low, high. How far did we go? The 2 is right there. Took out this high. Nice. Okay. Relatively equal highs right here. So the 2 being right there is okay. 2.5 even better because it's above that. All right, cool. But I'm looking at the entries for the moment. All right, so low, lower low, traded through. No fair value gap here. There's one all the way down here. This isn't very pretty though. I'm gonna glide. I don't think I would have bothered. Let's see, what time was this anyway? 12:15? Okay, this one just hit the halfway point. Yeah, that's not quite right, so that's not a good example. All right, let's find another one. Cool. Mm, I gotta learn what these big runs are doing. Personally, I think once they've dropped roll back up in here and then they take out a low, then whatever fair value, maybe, oh, in this one, it looks like we reuse the base of this fair value gap as an entry to go back down. But that's for different days, back testing. Ah, here we are. Here's another up. Beautiful. High, higher high, traded through. So, see here, look at that low right there. Where do we come back into? All right, zoom in. Got to be very precise here. All right, what did we have? There's a tiny, there's a tiny, busy right here, but yeah, so I would be considering this a bit of an inversion fair value gap. Stick busy right there. And let's make sure that we've got all of that salted out. Tip of that. Okay, yeah. So in this case, the closest thing to it was a 0.62 fair value gap and order block all in one place. Beautiful, beautiful delivery with no fair value gap above here on the 5 minutes. It didn't have a reason to reach up to here. I like that. Okay. So it really matters where that fair value gap is. All right. Just copy that into our notes. So third sample is starting to confirm the theory that the best entry is where there is a FEG between or at 0.69 or 0.79. 0.62. Keep saying 0.69. Sorry about that. So let's look at that again, right? So once we have a market structure, because I like the 5 minute, like it just makes sense to me. When a shift happens on the 5 minute, I trust it, right? And then on top of that, so nothing here. So just cycle through. Where'd it go? So it's 5 minutes. Where I lost it. Okay, here we are. So just out of curiosity, I'm going to do this. I could cycle through. Okay. So 4 minutes. Just look how big these things. So there's nothing here on the 4 minutes. 3 minutes, nothing. 2 minutes, tiny little guy right there. Something here. 1 minute, order block, along with the fair value gap. So inside of the breaker, there's an order block. I like that. All right, but on the 5 minute, this whole thing's a breaker. Beautiful. Mm. Okay, all right, let's continue. Let's continue testing. Oh, and one last thing. The other part of this test is where do we go? Because I'd be looking for this low right here. See how that translates. So that translates to if this is so this is um quick and dirty. The 2 is where I'd go. We get it right there. And I'd be happy with that. Let's see. Let's do the short. So in this case, fair value gap. Um, 0.2 is the closest to the fair value gap. Get above this high. So it doesn't have to be 80 ticks, but get above the high. And down here, it's 234. It's not a bad haul, if you ask me. Oh, I don't need that. Move that over there. So that. And well, I guess I can't because I have it let's do that. And come back this way. We're just looking for estimates of this in price. Also, what time is it? Ah, it's the afternoon. All right, beautiful. So that would be my where I would go. So for this entry, if I were to create a limit order with my 582, that's 157. Not bad. Okay, so far, what have we learned? We've learned that as long as there is a fair value gap associated with the OTE area 0.69, 0.62, and 0.79, you can probably safely pick that. Okay, so we have a low, lower low traded through. Let's see here. So let's look at this high and that right there. Kitty has gotten up for a second here. Gotta make it nice and accurate right there. Okay, good. So we had this tiny we had this one was too far up, and this fair value gap right here, and that hits the 0.79 spot for entries at the order block as a busy on the 5-minute. So if I follow the model, then I would take the long right here. My stop would be under here. A couple ticks under that. And what would I be looking for as, well, that's close by. There's that. Well, what does the what does this tell me? I can, because it's low, lower traded through, right? So if I use a different one, we're already on to the second half of this. Okay, so with that we're estimating 1 is right here. So, I mean, it's all this BS right here. I do this, and we have these relative equal right here. So, honestly, with those guys as like my buy side, this is the closest thing to it, I would have picked that. Now, Ice-T says like they like to turn around somewhere around 2. So 1.5 over that is more than enough for me, I think. And I mean, if we think about it, right? 835, risking 160, not bad. Now, let me go back to the original purpose of this, right? Time, it's like 7:30, 8:30, and then 10 o'clock. Look at that. 10 o'clock is when it would have given us the entry. We have 9:10, swept through, came back down. Yes. All right. Yes, as choppy as this crap is right here, if we waited until 10 o'clock, then we would have gotten an entry right there. So let me note this in my notes here. And we would have suffered very little drawdown with that one. So, all right, resampling the heck out of this. Fourth sample shows FEG. Put that in there. FEG at 0.79 level. Best places for entry. And of course, we're using the breaker to set TP. Beautiful. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of amazing so far. Hold on. I messed up where I put my third sample screenshot. Okay, back to business. All right, cool. So that's another one right there. Now, Okay, so looking for obvious versions of my. So we have a low, lower low, traded through here. I don't know. Let's see. This looks like a slow slog. Oops, sorry. Slow slog upward. So we have a low, lower low, traded. We did not trade through it here, so we couldn't use that one. I don't necessarily. The fact that this made a higher low from this, then that would have made me feel somewhat bullish even if we had to sit through all this foolishness. This is what, Friday? Oof, that's not pretty, but let's see where they came back to. Okay, so they never actually returned into anything, and the breaker is actually here. So in this case, the top of the breaker, the fair value gap right here with that order block. Not quite the model. I don't think I would have taken that anyway. It's not quite what I would have been looking for. Okay, let's continue on our journey here. All right, here's an is it? This looks like it, but I didn't take it out, so I wouldn't have taken that. I took it out here, but this is higher up, so this makes this a mitigation block. I don't like it. This isn't it either. We've got a low, lower low, traded through. I'm pretty sure I took this one though, where it tapped it, but it never quite made it to my take profit. I should, could have been aiming for that. But I think for this one, the low and the high, if I'd just been aiming for the top of this, I would have tapped the 2 just there beautifully. But for this one, they didn't even bother to come back down. Why? Because sometimes they don't. They just tap the top of the breaker and make sure I'm properly aiming here. Right. They tap this breaker and then took off right there. So sorry, I was aiming. Hold on. Let me adjust this properly for this actual return for this test. So from this high to this low, they never made it back to equilibrium. They just topped the top of the breaker. And then they took off and took this high out, and that was it. It's not my favorite because it's not a proper rundown, but it was a shift. So sometimes you have to take the top of the breaker. What about this one? Low, lower low. It traded through this wick right here. Let's see. That high right there, that traded through it. All right, so on the 5-minute, they tapped into the breaker and then they never hit 0.62. Fair value gap, lots of it. Let me fix this a little bit. There we go. All right, so for this one, they never quite made it back to 0.62. Low, lower low, traded through. They focused on the breaker and then did an institutional order flow entry on this one and then took off beautifully. So here we've now hit 2 samples where they never quite made it back to this or this. But those were a little different, I think, because they were this is one giant fair value gap. So let me take an image of this because it didn't even come back into this little guy. which would not have been in a premium anyway, so it doesn't matter. Just note the Bissy right there. And let's get an image. Copy image. Okay. Fifth sample shows no return into the 0.62 or 0.79. One big FEG at the point of the breaker. So that might be the difference between the two, you know? Oh, what is this? Oh, the bugs. Oh, gotta plug this laptop in. There we go. Come on, off you pop. All right. I think one of my samples is off. First sample, second, third, fourth, fifth. Oh, did I mess that up? Hold on, let's put that in there. Okay, where do you go? 0.62. Maybe I have it in here twice. Rebounded. Ooh, I wonder if deer are coming out. That'd be cool, right? Let's see. I wonder if I have my first sample in here twice. Let's double check here. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm gonna move it though. Let's cut that out and put it on the first sample. Sweet word sample. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know where that screenshot came from. I'm gonna leave it in here though. 6 little bucket. Theory. I'll put it in the third sample as well. Ah, okay. All right. Let's continue on. Sorry about that. All right. All right. Okay, so this isn't clean though, but it's also a return. You know, it's a continuation upwards too. So there's a shift here. Oh, they gave us another opportunity down here too, and it came back up and uh shifted this way. Huh. Yeah, look at that. Anyway, I'm also curious about when you finally catch the breaker, like where can it go, you know? So you definitely want to get over this high. So that's a 2 at minimum right there. Boom. There might have even been like, I mean, all this, of course they're gonna like take that out. Too juicy and flat. Anyway, moving on. Let's continue on our search for samples for my model. This is just mean. And then roll back up. It's mean. This price action is mean. No traded through. No fair value gap. Leave it alone. It's got to form something on the 5-minute. All right, what do we got? This guy's a little low, lower low. We traded through it. And just had this tiny thing. This wicked, probably some news day. They didn't really give us much to work with. So ignoring that one. Gotta find proper examples. Hmm. Well, this is interesting. Lower traded through, did go up, right? We're already on like a upward trend. So this is this is the leg that broke it, the shipped, and the fair value gap, this big boy, but the breaker is here. So I'd want the breaker, the fair value gap, and all that stuff to be in consort. So 0.62 is basically where this fair value gap ends, and there's nothing below it. So we have a combination of this bigger fair value gap hitting the 0.62 and the breaker. So if I'd said this, well, since it's so close, right? Right. Oh my goodness, that would have been a beautiful trade, right? Look at that. 38 tick stop below that puppy. And then, yep. Oh, I'm sorry. Fix that. Nothing below here. It's on the 5 minutes. Lower, traded through. So before I get all excited about this, this is where the fair value gap is. So I gotta remember to note, and I'll put this in my notes here. Okay, let's do this busy. So from this high to this low, they came back down to here, tap the wick of this order block. So I can either do one of two things. I can take it at the 0.62 or the midpoint below here or the base. Because this overlaps. The order block and the base of this overlaps. That's my stop. And, something above here. Small movements. So with that small thing, I don't know. But anyway, as an example, as it's thinking, they ran it through, then shifted, then gave us an entry there. So let me get a good screenshot of this. Kitty's up and about, y'all. He's up and about. So sixth sample. So we see a FVG that spans both premium and discount for the leg. Wait for it to return to a discount somewhere, discount where it correlates. It's starting to rain. Correlates with the 0.62 or 0.79 price points. Price point along with the breaker, with the bullish breaker and the order block. Okay, looks like the rain's gonna run me inside, so I'm gonna call it continue on my own. But you guys, see, do I want to go inside? It's drizzling. Maybe that's why Kitty got up. I might move myself under the umbrella instead of going inside. Let me check the weather here. It's supposed to rain right now. Kitty wants to go in, so we can close this one out. for now anyway, I plan on continuing to test this and update my journal. So, y'all behave yourselves, follow your process, be safe. Shakira out.